Don't do it, I warned Bretto, not even looking up from my burger. The new security officer had curled up his raptorial appendages in distaste at the human food, but I had been stationed on X-51 long enough to have learned to love the odd cuisine of our galactic neighbors. Said cuisine was why I had brought Bretto to what the humans called the station's food court. But Blipe, it's pink, he said softly, one of his eyes moving a bit to glance at the new human who had sat at one of the tables a few feet away with a couple other of the bipedal species. Brado's own dark red chitin marked him as a warrior, while my own blue had set me on the path for bureaucracy. Yes, she is, I said, putting emphasis on the appropriate pronoun. Bredo clearly hadn't had much, if any, exposure to aliens, which was going to be a problem on a customs and border station like X-51. But a human is not a chroma, and their skin color doesn't mean the same as our chitin. But blipe, she's speckled, he protested again, before taking a bite of his baked Crash's fish. The human had begun chatting amiably with a couple others, ones with darker complexions that someone like Bredo wouldn't confront recklessly. Them I knew, Leroy and Javier, but the woman must have been one of the many cargo pilots that passed through the station. Yes, I can see that, I said, talking to Bredo in much like I would a hatchling. But again, a human is not a chroma. Their patterns don't mean a thing like they do with us. Bredo's solid color, except for a slight gradient to black at the edges of his shell segments, marked him as a pure fighter, one of the fiercest of the Chroman Alliance, and not someone any other chroma would want to piss off. My own iridescent stripes placed me as an administrator. I might even have been able to enter politics if I had so desired, though I lacked the rainbow hue of nobility, let alone the shine of royalty. But she's got orange antenna, Bredo exclaimed, as if he was now much less concerned with discretion. He had been loud enough that the humans looked over, though I wasn't sure if their translators caught what my tablemate had said, let alone the context. Keep your voice down, I chided lightly, and Bredo at least had the good grace to appear chastened, his chitin fading in color with embarrassment. It's called hair, and I'm only going to explain this once. A human isn't a chroma. Their hair color doesn't mean what antennae does for us. They even color it just for cosmetic purposes. Bredo's antennae were as red as the rest of him, showing his focus in combat readiness. He wouldn't even make a good scout, so intent was he on fighting. My own were green, which I was proud of, as it showed how much I had studied nonverbal communication, a must when dealing with aliens, especially ones like the humans. Just leave the human alone, or you'll regret it. No, Bredo said. His antenna waved back and forth in incredulity as he unfolded to stand on his 6 walking legs. I've figured it out. You're messing with me. You think you're so much smarter than me that you can make me believe anything about some weird alien. I mean, come on, they don't even have a shell. I lowered and raised my antenna to say, resignation. Fine, do what you want, but let this be a warning to you, and all damages resulting from your actions are your sole responsibility. Bredo sauntered over to the table of humans, and Leroy, the man who had instructed me to lower his skin color to black, stared hard at me. I waved my antenna once more, indicating that yes, indeed, I had tried to warn Bredo, and that she had ignored me. So how much does she charge for a night? He asked the 2 men, totally ignoring the woman. What the fuck? She exclaimed, shooting up to full height, which was standing eye to eye with Bredo. So short for human, but not less formidable for that. I saw what Bredo clearly missed her face, fast turning red with anger, though the brown speckles still came through. Siobhan, hey, Javier said, standing to interpose himself between her and Bredo. He's new, just arrived to the station today. His supervisor is right there, and I'm sure the Chroma HR is going to give him a write-up. Don't pick a fight. I ain't picking a fight. That overgrown shrimp cocktail just called me a whore. Of course you are, Bredo repeated, and I sighed. Look at yourself. How could you be anything else? Listen, new fellow, Leroy said, trying to ease Bredo back gently, though the warrior would not be moved. You're, well, new, so we're cutting you some slack on this one. But what you just said is highly offensive, so just apologize to Siobhan and let Blipe take you back to the office for orientation. Better yet, you giant prawn, get your sorry ass back to whatever backwater fen you crawled out of. I sighed, knowing what was about to happen. Every damn time some new red shell got transferred out here. Javier and Leroy knew too, both moving quickly out of the way. Bredo punched the human, the crack of his front appendage connecting with her face loud even in the large room. Fucking hell, Siobhan exclaimed, her head rocking back from the force of a chroma punch. She snuffled in that odd fashion humans did, then rubbed her hand under her nose, her fingers coming away red. Fuck you too then. She swung with a punch of her own, much slower than Bredo's, but with so much more power behind it. To Bredo's credit, he did try to step back, but chroma aren't that agile out of the water. She grunted as she connected with the middle of his thoracic section, and he hit the hard, wheezing for breath. I walked over as Javier was holding Siobhan back and told Leroy I'd reimburse them for their meals and waive the docking fee for Siobhan, then looked down at Bredo. You see, Bredo, a human is not a chroma. The thing to know with humans is they're all red on the inside.